So we're going to be talking about the data portfolio fundamentals, on how to accelerate your career, pretty much. As Richie mentioned, I am Luigi. I am passionate about multiple things: AR, health, data, running, and anything fitness related, especially as well also design. And fun fact, yes, when I play Mario Kart, I pick Luigi as well as one of my characters. So my jumping is pretty good, as Richie mentioned. Um, anyway, so you can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter. Here are my handles, but we have 30 to 40 minutes together today, so let's make sure we take the most out of it. Um, of course, many of you are here looking to make a data portfolio. Um, as Richie mentioned, we there are multiple ways to showcase your work, to recruiters. Let's try to get in the mindset of the recruiters as well. We're going to be doing a few exercises, a few stories on how to do that and how to think about recruiters and how to think about building your portfolio. But before we get started, let me walk you through what we're going to be covering today. Number one, we're going to start with a few topics around the why behind the data portfolio. Why is it important, and why we should really care about it. I'm going to be sharing a few DataCamp resources on how to build a portfolio. We're going to be sharing a few tips on crafting your portfolio. We're going to go over a few real life examples from some of our users. And finally, we're going to have some time for some Q&A. But before we get started, let's put things into context with a story. I really like to share things with a story. It makes it feel authentic. It makes it feel realistic. It makes it feel unique to our life. So if I'm saying things that you can relate to, that you have the similar pain, or that you have a similar problem, it would be nice if you can share that on the chat, and maybe other people can share the pain, can relate to you, or maybe even help you and explain how they solve that problem for themselves as well. This is a real story, by the way, from one of a very engaged user. But to protect their privacy and their identity, I will just keep it undercover. So let me introduce you to Charlie. Charlie is a data engineer. By the way, again, as I said, please share any of the things that I'll mention, and any of the problems that you have, share them in the chat. Um, Data Charlie here, similar to many of us, Charlie wants to start their story with, "Hey, I want to switch jobs. I want to get into data science. There's this new thing called DataCamp I like. I start doing a few courses. I feel I'm ready to get a new job, and I need a data portfolio. A lot of these job applications are asking me for a resume and a portfolio. What is this data portfolio, and how can I build one?" So Charlie starts doing some research, and you might be an early student. You might want to learn something new. Um, Charlie, in this case, they want to upskill. They're balancing multiple jobs. They are only learning data science at night. They're also maintaining a family. So in this case, Charlie realistically only has time to work on their portfolios at night after putting the babies to bed. So Charlie starts first by gathering a few of his projects, or their projects, and very soon realizes that it is a bit overwhelming. Um, Gathering the projects can get very dizzy very quickly. This is Dizzy Charlie. Basically, too many projects. None of them might be as good. Are they really good enough? Which one should I pick? Is this good enough for what recruiters are looking for? Do I need 3 projects, 5 projects, 15 projects? Should I go with all of them? Should I go with only a few? All of these are questions that go through our head when we're building the portfolio. Um, and in the same way that you might be feeling that, Charlie is also feeling it, and it's completely normal, by the way. And after we figure out, okay, we narrow it down to a set amount of projects that we want to showcase. This is who I really am as a data scientist. These are my latest skills. I need to figure out where to put them. Where do I host my portfolio? And it's very easy to freak out, because there are so many tools and so many solutions for this out there that are not necessarily targeted for a data portfolio, just to create websites out there. So we have GitHub, Wix, Webflow. People sometimes even decide to build their own web pages. And in this case, Charlie decides to go with GitHub. And everyone uses it. He sees a few examples online. So let's just go with it. Why not? But then Charlie realizes, actually, I can't really do this. I don't have the skills to do it. So I'm just going to pick Wix. It seems simple enough. Charlie decides to go then after it goes into the explore tab of Wix. It discovers a new template, and then it discovers actually this template looks really great. I'm going to use it. And then after it does that, it sees other data portfolios and other design portfolios and other types of websites that use the same template. So Charlie starts wondering, is this actually unique enough? Is this who I really want to be as a data scientist? Um, by the way, these are really great tools, and they are great for multiple things. But in the process, building the data portfolio brings all of these emotions, and we need to be aware and we need to be worried about this is this is my work, this is who I am in the data space. i don't really I wouldn't like you to go through these emotions when you should be just excited and happy to showcase your work and share it with the world. So these frustrations start to build up, and anxiety starts to build up throughout the process, and then you might lose some of this excitement when you build your data portfolio. So we would like to eradicate all of that and just make it really easy and really easy for you to build your portfolio. And by that, I would like to give you a few tips, regardless of the tool that you use, on how to think about it and how to approach it. Um, and finally, this was Charlie when we showed them how the data portfolio could be used to solve their everyday problems when building their portfolios, right? When they were learning at DataCamp, when they were writing articles, when they were filtering their own data sets and creating their own data sets, their own machine learning models, and how they can bring them all together using the DataCamp portfolio. By the way, I'm aware that this process might not be exactly linear or might not fit your exact same process when building a data portfolio. This is just an example, but you probably have a few, not just here and there, that you can relate to. Now, this is only for us, the creators, but now let's think about the recruiters, because at the end of the day, we're building portfolios, most of us, for recruiters. Let's put ourselves into their shoes. Let's look at it from the perspective of those reviewing the portfolios. In this case, this is a data recruiter, and they have to review hundreds of resumes a day. So put yourself in their shoes. What do you do if you have 100 resumes or 100 pages that you need to review every day? All of them different formats, all of them different layouts, different information hierarchy. You can easily freak out. And realistically, if you think about it, that's not their only job. They have other things that they need to do. It's not only sitting down and reviewing resumes. So realistically, they have 20 seconds. If that's on the upper level, realistically, it might be around 10 seconds per resume. So think about that when you build your portfolio. They also have concerns and worries. These recruiters, they are trying to decide if this candidate is the right fit for the company, if they have the right skills, if they are evaluating their experience in the shortest amount possible. So our role when we build our portfolios is our job is to make it as easy as possible for them to answer these questions. Do I have the right skills? Am I the right fit? Do I have the experience they are looking for? So when we organize the information in our portfolio and our projects, it's not only to showcase who I am, but make it as well really easy, really succinct, and tell a really nice, compelling story of who I am as a data scientist and how can I help them, um, if I am the person that they're looking for. So to summarize, this is the end of the story part. So now we're going to jump into a few of the tips. But to summarize, if there is two things that I would like you to take away from this webinar, there are only two. Number one is clear and actionable tips and some resources that you can use to then apply to your portfolio afterwards. And finally, which is the one that I think is the most important, is that energy and that enthusiasm when approaching your data portfolio, that mindset. Again, this is your best work. This is how you choose to represent yourself in the data space. You should be proud of it. And this is your best work, and you choose how you want the data world to see you. And this is it, right? So you should be excited about this. You should be enthusiastic. You should be looking forward to share this with the world. And in order for us to start, I think it is important to take a little bit of a step back and start by understanding what is the essence of the data portfolio. And the way I like to break it down is, if we think about the data portfolio, is basically a set of boxes, and these boxes are basically projects, and these projects are tied together through a story. And this is your story. And that line that joins these projects together are just how you approach data science, your way of thinking about data science, maybe your journey. I was here a few years ago, now I'm here, now I'm there, and this is my progression in my skill. Or maybe this is the diversity set of skills that I have. So you need to figure out your unique way to tell that story. And data portfolios are the best tools to do that. They are basically an aggregation of your best individual projects. It represents who you are, as I said, in the data community. Um, and we're gonna here, as we do this webinar, we're gonna figure out together how to identify these projects, which projects should I pick and why, and then how to build that narrative that connects all of those projects together and create this holistic story. Now, again, the why behind the data portfolio, I'm going to focus number one in, many of you are probably very likely looking to land their dream data job or their first data job. And that's what I'm going to focus on. But it's important that we keep in mind that the data portfolio is not only to land a job. Other people might use it, might be a smaller subset of people in the data space, but some people keep it up to date just as a personal brand. This is who I am, again, in the data space, and I would like people to come and see and get inspiration. Maybe I'm some sort of data influencer. People come to me for inspiration, which also links to the third point. It's also good to network. People might go find your portfolio, might find your work on Google, and you might serve of inspiration maybe a few years down the line to junior data scientists that might be, hey, I would like to be like Charlie. Charlie has all of these roles that I would like to pursue. He has all of this experience, and I would like to pursue some of their career. Um, so it is very important that you just keep it up to date, because it's also, in a way, is a way to give back and inspire the next generations of data scientists. Um, so if we think about it, in if we break these topics a little bit more, from the recruiter's perspective, this is a tool that recruiters use to observe your technical skills and ability to tell stories with data. We're going to focus on that specifically, but we're also going to touch a little bit more on the personal brand. Again, this is a place in the internet where you can tell your data story. So it is important we keep it up to date and we make it unique, we make it inspireful. And at the same time, is a tool to inspire others and network and connect with people in the data space, with like-minded individuals that can be inspired today, but can also help us in the future. So keep that in mind as well. Finally, I know that you will get access to the slides later on, so I just want to mention this and highlight this a little bit. I have put a few of the resources to get started and gather some inspiration from. Some of them are DataCamp's data portfolios. There are also some other content that our media team has been creating. They have really great insights. Don't only stick to what I'm going to talk about in this webinar. This is only the surface, in my opinion. There's a lot more that you could do to get inspiration and make your portfolio even more unique. So here are some of my personal favorite resources that the media team has worked on and put together. So a big shout out to them. Those are Riz and Richie. So yeah, just keep an eye on this slide. Take a look at them, and I'm sure Riz will share a few of these resources afterwards as well. So let's start with the step one, collecting your projects. Again, just to recap, data portfolios are a combination of projects and stories. Let's start with the projects. Collecting the projects, people think that there are many projects that we need to collect. In short, is between 3 to 5 projects that show your diversity and passion, especially when you're looking for a job. Believe it or not, recruiters, as I said, they have hundreds of applications per day. They have to review hundreds of resumes, and they barely get time to get to the portfolio stage. So make sure that whatever you do, you condense and you actually focus on the projects that really matter. And the way I like to look at this, is put the projects that come actually from a place of authentic passion, uh, projects that are unique. Dozens of these portfolios have tons of projects that are repeated over and over again. And once you're a recruiter and you start looking at hundreds of portfolios per day, then you can start to see patterns. So keep in mind, it's good to explore other portfolios to search for inspiration, but it is important that you tweak them in a way that actually make them unique to you. Um, the second point is that great projects demonstrate your technical skills, but you don't need to show every single technical skill that you have. Again, if you are working on a specific data analyst role that needs a specific skill set, make sure you target those. You target your portfolio to fit those skill sets, and make sure your projects complement each other in a way. Um, if you can, if it's possible to you, to your skills and to the goals that you want to achieve, make sure that the skills complement data storytelling in one side, data visualization in another. Make sure that you demonstrate that you can do a diversity set of things within one project as well. That is actually very useful. um, don't focus only on just showing, hey, I can do a specific set of analysis with Python, and that those are your three projects. They are the exact same thing. People really want to see how you solve problems in different ways, and that you can be resourceful with your skills. And finally, related to the first point, avoid cookie cutter projects. The cookie cutter projects are basically uh, reasonably standardized project that you can kind of adapt for doing and doing some data work here and there, and then sharing that afterwards. And I don't think cookie cutter projects are necessarily bad, but they're good to search inspiration, to get you started, maybe to explore some concepts. So they have their place. But if you're going to put stuff in your data portfolio, I recommend just to take those cookie cutter projects as inspiration, and then push the boundaries with them, and just figure out a way to make them unique, and make them follow your passion, if that makes sense. Now, this is when it comes to projects, and I wanna wrap up this section with a thought that came with some of our research that we did when we started building our data portfolios, and when we did many user interviews. We discovered that the number one problem that our users had is that they spent too much time, way too much time, searching and organizing their projects for their portfolios. What tend to happen is that they had some in their school computer, they had others in their personal computer, some of the others live in GitHub, some were in some Jupyter notebook, somewhere in their folder hierarchy, and it was really hard for them to find them. So one of the things that we wanted to do when we built the DataCamp portfolio is to make that the place where you can organize your projects. Our goal is to help you organize it from anywhere on the internet, regardless of if they come from DataCamp or not. You should be able to add anything you can in your DataCamp portfolio. And the way I would like to explain it is with a quick example. Imagine that you publish a research paper, a Medium article, and you would like to highlight it in your portfolio. This is a very common use case. Many people have actually added many of their articles and many of their blog posts on 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 their portfolio. And here's how they could do it. Basically, you copy and paste the URL, you paste in your portfolio. As you can see, we import all the boring stuff, all that meta information, all the meta image, and we make it really easy for you to include things from anywhere on the internet within your portfolio. Of course, you can always edit this information at any time, but we just wanted to reduce the friction for you to do that. Now, imagine that you're a recruiter and you only have 20 seconds and you need to determine if this candidate has a specific skill or not. So I want to see a project with a specific technology. Let's say in this case, it might be a combination of uh, maybe data visualization, some Python, and some SQL. So what do? You explore through their projects. And this is why I recommend tagging your projects and make it really easy for the readers to browse through your projects and determine if they want to commit to reading this full time or not. Sometimes they just want to go through a checklist and determine if you are the right candidate or not to go to the next stage. And this is why we made this tagging system, just to make it really easy for the readers. And the mindset that I would like to get you through is get into the reader's mindset. Is this something helpful for the recruiters, for the person who's going to read this? And am I making it easier for them to digest my information? Is it too much text enough? Is it little text? What I should be doing is this? What's the balance here? And that's the mindset that I would like you to get to. Finally, your portfolio highlights should be the best of the best. And we have added this section here in your portfolio, which we call the portfolio highlights. This should be links. This should link to projects, articles, hands-on experience. I would avoid linking to courses or track here. And the reason is because they're not bad courses and tracks. They're just very common, and they don't really tell much about the skills that you could do, right? Your hands-on experience and your portfolio. They are not a differentiation factor. So keep that in mind when you add any project to your highlights. Now let's go to the next step, which is the story. So let's recap. We got a set of projects, 3 to 5 projects. We have determined which projects are the ones that we want to share. How do we connect them together in a story? And here are a set of tips that I would like you to take away, regardless of the tool that you use to make your portfolio. I would really like you to take away these tips and apply them. If you decide to use the DataCamp Portfolio or any other portfolio tool, you make your own website. This should be tool agnostic. Let's put it that way. But basically, what we're trying to help is how can we create this personal brand. So number one is you are the hero of your story. So make sure you convey that emotion. Ensure your readers will be able to follow your journey, where you started, where you are, what are your goals, your ambitions, what you want to take away in the data space, what type of problems are you passionate about. All of those things are really important. And there are spaces in the DataCamp portfolio, at least, when you can tell that story. And make sure you create that space to tell that story. Number two is don't try to reinvent the wheel with every project. Try to keep the language and tone of your writing consistent. And in a few of the examples that I shared earlier, the structure and the way the projects are written are very, very well done. And what I mean by well done is that it's very easy to read and follow. It's broken down by subtitles. It's broken down by this is the problem I'm trying to solve. This is the approach that I'm trying to follow. This is how I thought about the problem. This is how others potential solutions, and this is why I picked this approach, and this is how I solved it. And writing that in a very brief structure. There are multiple ways to achieve this, by the way, but doing that in every project, it helps the reader follow your thought process. But then if I go from project 1 to project 2 and then you have a similar thought process that is very clear and structured, then I already know what to look for. So try to adapt your project's design and writing as a template, and try to follow a similar approach in every project if you can, if possible. I'm aware that all projects are different in a way, so you might need to tweak things here and there, but just keep that in mind. And finally, remember your soft skills. Explain how you solved a unique problem. That's how you approached it. What was your mindset? How you thought about it? How you solved the problem, the thought process, maybe the roadblocks that you face on the way. What are other alternatives ways for solving the problem, and why you picked this one in particular? That goes a long way. I think the portfolio shows what you can do, but also how you think and how you approach a specific set of problems. So make sure you convey that as well within your projects and your portfolio overall. That's also part of your story. That it might not be as tangible in a resume. So keep that in mind as well. And I'm going to give you a few quick examples on how you can achieve some of these things in the DataCamp portfolios. Let's start with adding personality and diversity to your projects with visuals. when we interviewed a few of our users, um, the second biggest problem was that it takes skill pretty much to make a portfolio look good, to make a portfolio uh, have a nice visual representation. And our users were sometimes frustrated because they maybe didn't have the design skills to make it look great. They were using Webflow, Wix, and sometimes even React to make their own portfolio website. And these are great tools, as I said, but let's be honest, they take time to master. And when you just need a place to easily tell your story and showcase your projects in a way that looks good and presentable to recruiters. A lot of that time that you use trying to learn how to use new tools, you could have spent that in making really great projects that actually are of great quality and that showcase what you really can do. So there are a few tricks that I'm going to recommend, as I said. But for me, it's just really important that you take the advice and apply it to your portfolio, regardless of the tool that you use. Number one is personalize your projects with tags, images, titles, and any other resource that you could do to call the reader's attention and push them to peek into what they are about to see. Try to give them as much information in advance, but at the same time, not too much so they are not overwhelmed. And that's why the titles, the tags, and the images are quite important here. The other one is leverage the text smartly here, the tagline in particular. Make it engaging, make it to draw the user's attention. And this tagline here is important mainly to communicate your goal and passion. This is what you are really enthusiastic about. This is what you really want to do with your career. These are your goals, your aspirations. These are the problems that you're passionate about solving. So make sure you convey that and make it unique. Finally, is highlight your top technical skills for recruiters. As I said, recruiters have limited time, so we have designed this first screen in your portfolio to tell your full summary at a glance. So your technologies are part of them. Um, if your role is another part of them, your portfolio highlights is another one, and your prompt and your quote below, it's also a very important one. So make sure that you convey your full story here, and you give as much information at a glance as possible. um, Another thing is, in case you don't know where to start, we have made this a really interesting tool. We have launched something a few months ago that we have been testing. We have gradually rolled it out to most of our users, and by now everyone should have it. Again, it's still in testing, but I believe it has great potential, and I'm really excited about it and the potential that it could have in the future. The goal is to help you create your portfolio even easier, and that's the portfolio assistant. The way we started is we just want to help you make a few suggestions of what you could do with your portfolio. But at the same time, this is when you are getting started. But at the same time, your portfolio is never really done. You will be learning new things. You will be creating new projects. You will be using new tools, and we want you to make it we wanted to make it really easy for you to update your portfolio with the least effort throughout your data science journey, right? Your learning journey, um, within and outside DataCamp. So that way you can focus on making great projects, really cool projects that are authentic and that are very personal and very show your passion, and not focus so much on the little details of what type of text should I add here, or where do I keep my projects, are they in different places, and all of this. um, so it is very early, so please, we would really appreciate that as you use the product, give us feedback, give us advice on what would you like to see from it, what type of advice is helpful, and which type of advice is not. That would be really, really helpful. Now, there are I've broken down in terms of real life examples. There are two portfolios that have stood out in the last few weeks, and these portfolios won the portfolio of the week, which is an internal competition we have been doing here at DataCamp with some of our top users. And those are two. One of them is a student. The second one is a data analyst. Let's start with the student. I picked this on purpose because my assumption was that most of the people that would come to this webinar would be in either these two stages in their career. But there are plenty more that you can get inspiration from. And I'm gonna point three main things that I think are quite important and interesting from this portfolio. Number one is the visual diversity of the images. This person took many images and made it part of their portfolio, made it part of their branding. Um, and at the same time, when you look at it and start reading the titles, you see that the diversity of the topics as well. So you have different things like video games, specific tabletop games, international depth statistics, and carbon emissions, sustainability, and so on. Also, the way that the projects are organized and well structured, you see that it has the tags. That is quite important. If I'm a recruiter here and I try to look for a specific set of skills, let's say spreadsheets and SQL, I can go to a specific one, or 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 determine if this is the candidate I'm looking for or not. Again, this is a student portfolio and it's probably still learning. So if I am a recruiter approaching this portfolio, I'm very likely not looking for a head of machine learning for my company, right? So I know what I'm working with. Um, so it's very good to be honest, and it's very good to just be very transparent with the skills and be very straightforward. Second thing is a data analyst. Again, you can see here that there is a different type of work in the portfolio. You can tell as well that there are specific types of problems that this person is passionate about, some sort of climate change and the impact it has in specific regions of the world, healthcare data, working on with supply chain. Again, it has against video games. I believe this video games was a DataCamp competition at some point in the past. But once you open some of these projects, this is what I meant previously, is that the projects are really well explained and they have very relevant details with no overwhelming information. And very important is you can see that they have now different technologies that are showing, and they have some hands-on experience. So you have some Power BI, you have some Python, some SQL. So basically at a glance, the recruiter can now determine, okay, it has this specific experience, it has these specific technologies. I can click on a specific project that I'm interested in, and if not, I can determine if I want to pass it to the next stage or not. So that's in terms of the examples. And another thing that I would like to draw your attention to is that before we wrap up, since the launch of portfolios a few months ago, we have seen a great adoption from our user. Tens of thousands of users have created really awesome portfolios, and I was very, very pleased to just see that so many people have taken the time to use the tool that we have created for them, and they have given us very, very positive feedback. I was actually very fascinated, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank all of you for sharing that feedback and helping us learn on how you use the tool and how you use portfolios. But some of you also reach out asking for inspiration and guidance, and where can you find the best portfolios examples? And we felt that there was an opportunity here, because it's an opportunity to also give the spotlights for those users that have put lots of effort in creating the portfolio, have the experience, and those who are seeking for inspiration. So we would like to figure out a way on creating and merging those two needs, and help users kickstart their own portfolio by supporting each other. So in the next few months, so keep an eye out, we're going to launch a tool to help you find the top public portfolios from our community, highlighting the best projects, the best work, the best achievements. So just wanted to put it out there, and keep this in your radar for the next few months. So keep an eye out for this. Before we wrap up and we jump into any questions, we'd like to summarize and bring things together. Some tips, again, we build the projects. Keep it simple, 3 to 5 projects to show your passion and skill diversity. Always keep the readers in mind and their experience. Keep in mind that you are very likely going to be assessed by recruiters. They have very limited time, a few seconds for your portfolio and for your resume. So keep that in mind. And finally, a strong personal brand helps you stand out and be more memorable. And what I mean, again, just to wrap up this part, a personal brand is not only how your portfolio looks, but it's how you tell your own story. It is how you present your projects. It is how you assemble your whole portfolio. It is how you assemble your goals, how you tell the recruiter what you want to achieve in your career, that what technologies are you able to work with, um, your thought process, the way you work, the way you think, the way you approach problems, like all of those little things take part of your personal brand. So keep all of those things in mind when you approach your DataCamp portfolio or your data portfolio. Um, Finally, this is all from me. So thank you very much. Feel free to reach out anywhere on Twitter, LinkedIn. Um, I'll be available there to answer any questions. Also, any feedback. If you, for whatever reason, you can't figure out a way to share feedback with DataCamp, which there are multiple ones, you can reach out at any time. Share any feedback on LinkedIn. I'm always available there. Would be great to jump into some Q&A. I've seen a few of the questions popping up here on the comments. So let's do
All
it.
right. Wonderful. Thank you, Luigi. Very informative. So, for anyone who has a question for Luigi, please do write them in the chat. I see we've got a few questions already. Before we get to that, I just have a question for you. I'm not sure, when should you start creating your portfolio? Is it best to wait until you're applying for jobs, or should you do it before?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I would suggest start as soon as you can. I think the exercise of building the portfolio just helps you create that thought process on what projects are needed, how can I create my how can people perceive me in the data space, um, what things do I need to improve to start applying for jobs later on. So the sooner you start and the sooner you start putting things together, then the easier it would be by the time you start applying for jobs. So hopefully by the time you decide, hey, I'm ready to start applying for jobs, your portfolio is ready, and you don't need to start worrying about it, and it's not another weight that you need to put on top of it. Yeah.
That does seem to make sense. That you don't want to be trying to analyze 10 different data sets and write them up nicely,
Yeah.
just at the exact point where you're applying for a job.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a load of questions from the audience. Let's start with this one from Adolfo. So Adolfo
Hmm.
says, is the mindset for a portfolio twofold? Is it firstly to get the attention of a recruiter, um, to lead to an interview, and then to get a job? Do you want to talk about what hiring managers think about portfolios?
Yeah. I would say, um, this might be different for different hiring managers. So Richie, feel free to chip in at some point here if you have anything to contribute. But number one, you have your resume, and that resume usually says if you go to the next stage or not. And the next stage can mean different things. It can be, I'm gonna pass this person to the next interview round, or, oh, this resume is interesting, I'm gonna check their portfolio to make sure that whatever you put in your resume is actually true. Um, and I go into your portfolio, and that portfolio is actually, it's legit. It's some things that you actually put in your resume. I can see the actual real world experience here in your portfolio. I can dig um, deeper into your projects and into the way you think and into the practical experience that you had. So it's just a way to validate what you have put in your resume. And sometimes, a lot of the times, your portfolio could be as good or better than your resume. So keep that in mind. So the question is this a twofold? Not necessarily to call the attention of the recruiter, but depending on the scenario, it could help you because it's that complement to the resume, right? It could help you go into the next interview, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm certainly my own experience. So when I was managing a team and hiring data people, what would happen is for the first round interview would be taken by someone from the people team. So they're not a data
Hmm.
specialist, and they would
Yeah.
do a general interview about cultural fit. And the people who made it past that first round interview, they would then get a second interview
Yeah.
where I'd be involved. So it was at that point where I was trying to decide who was getting that second interview. That was when I would look at portfolios, and I would just want to check, can they write code that looks like real code and something not scribbled together? Can they explain data concepts clearly? Like, can they actually explain the impact of the results, things like that? And so it was really just a sanity check for, is this person worthy of a second round interview? So that's the point in the cycle when it really gets looked at.
Yeah. That's a real world experience there from Richie.
Absolutely. And it might vary from company to company, but in general, that's the sort of point. It's midway through the hiring cycle. Okay, so Vale asks, is it free to create a DataCamp portfolio?
Yeah, that's a very good question right now, Vale. The answer is yes, but and the reason for that is because right now we have a slightly, so you can create a portfolio for free at any time, but in order to make it public, we have right now a slight bug that we're currently fixing. Really, we're working hard to fix it. It's a bit more complicated, so I won't get into the details, but we have a bug that doesn't really allow you to make public all the time. So it works for some people, it doesn't work for all, but we are working on that. But the goal is to make portfolio creation free for everyone, and you can do it at any time.
All right. So in theory, yes, it is free, and it should be very free.
Yeah, and
very soon.
And if it's not free for you, it will be free very soon.
And if it isn't, you know who to complain to.
Yeah, you know where to find me on LinkedIn. That's exactly right. Yeah.
All right. Next one comes from Nelson. How do I actually get access to the portfolio tool? Do you want to share your screen and you can show where in the DataCamp interface you get to portfolios?
Yeah, let's do that. You caught me. Let me sort out my screen situation. Yeah, I can definitely do that. So if I go here, wait. Okay. Sorry, give me a second. All right, there you go. You can't see my screen, right?
No.
Okay, I think I did
just try sharing again.
Yeah, give me a sec. All right, if I stop sharing. Okay, you should be able to see it now, right?
Success.
Amazing. So you can access your portfolio through multiple avenues through the DataCamp interface. Very likely you're going to land in something like this. You can access your portfolio through this widget here, or you can simply go in the drop down here, My Portfolio, and get access to it. Here's my portfolio.
Right. Easy peasy. So click on your face in the top right and then click My Portfolio.
Exactly.
Wonderful. All right. That was good. So next question comes from Amanda. So Amanda says, what's the difference between portfolio and workspace?
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting question, Amanda. A portfolio, if we look at it from the story that I was sharing before, the workspace would be the individual projects that you have, and the portfolio, it would be a way for you to pull all of those workspaces together and just tell your story and see how those workspaces fit together. That would be the way that I would summarize it. Is there a way that you would explain that better, Richie?
Yeah, okay. So Workspace is our hosted Jupyter Notebook product. So basically, the idea is that individual elements within your data portfolio are going to be created in Workspace, at least if you're doing coding things. So perhaps Reese can post a link in chat. I've got an example of a workspace I created as an example for a data portfolio. So if you're looking to create your own data portfolio, then click on the link that Reese just posted. That's going to take you through to your own copy of this workspace. And there's just an example of something that if you are going for a junior data analyst role, then that's the sort of thing that you should have in your portfolio. And then the whole portfolio itself is going to be lots of workspaces, lots of articles, all combined together. So it's a higher level thing.
Yeah.
All right. So next question comes from Cynthia. So Cynthia asks, how do I get help creating a portfolio? Is there any support we provide for this?
Us as DataCamp itself, as individuals, no, but there are plenty of resources that we have created for how to build your portfolio, and Richie has done loads of them in the past.
Yeah.
Go for
I
it.
mean, so yeah, one thing I'll say is check out the links to resources
Yeah.
that are being posted in chat. So we've done quite a few webinars on this. We've done quite a few code longs and things like
Yeah.
that. Are there any support articles on how to, or is there any documentation on how to create a portfolio?
Not necessarily on how to create a portfolio, but on how to find a few places on how to resolve a few, where to find your portfolio, how to add work, how to add specific things. Yes, but in terms of tips on like how to best optimize your portfolio, not in support, but there are a few blogs and webinars that we have done around it.
Okay, and is there sort of practical advice on how to use the interface, things like that?
If I have to explain that, then we have done a really bad job.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Hopefully easy to use then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, next question is from Xiao Ji. So Xiao Ji asks, if I want to switch my job role from a marketer to a data analyst, what should I highlight in my portfolio? So that's maybe you can talk about this in more general. It's like if you've got a specific job that you want, how do you make sure that your portfolio aligns to that job?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And you have a lot more experience. You have seen a lot more, you have recruited a lot more people in the data space. So you can probably give more light on this. But I'm going to tell you my perspective, and then maybe you can chime in, Richie, please. What I usually do is read the job description and just make sure that number one, check all the boxes they're looking for, and just make it really easy for them to see, especially for recruiters. Usually they just have a checklist pretty much, and they just want to check, okay, do I fit all of these criteria? And you just want to make it really easy for them to do that. And number two is try to see what the company that you're applying for the problem are they trying to solve, and try to solve problems within your portfolio that align to the problems they might be facing. That's how I would approach it pretty much. So make sure that it resonates to them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so maybe in that specific example of going from working in marketing to data analysis, you probably want to have something around marketing analytics in there, because that's going to be fairly natural to you. You understand a bit about the marketing side, and you can really show off, like, you understand the business impact of your analyses. And then if you're looking for a job that isn't marketing analytics, it's something completely different, you're probably going to have to demonstrate that you do have skills in whatever area you're going for. So, try and align your portfolio to the jobs you want.
Yeah.
All right. So an anonymous LinkedIn user asks, how do you recommend splitting your time between learning a tool and working on projects? So I guess how much time doing courses, how much time doing projects and building your portfolio?
Well, I don't necessarily think there is a magic number that you should break it down. I think it depends different ways that you learn. I learn a lot better by doing projects than just sitting and listening to courses or listening to webinars. So for me, more of the practical experience is better. I think you just need to find your own way of doing it. I do think that doing projects, from my experience, doing projects is very it helps me create that muscle memory pretty much. And I spend most of my time doing projects and just doing courses. I just refer to the courses when I need to understand a specific theory concept or something that I'm not fully grasping when I go into courses. But yeah, most of my time is with projects. What do you think, Richie?
So I think it changes where you are in the sort of learning stage. So, for example, when you're just starting something new, you're probably going to want to take a lot of courses just to build up those skills in the
Yeah.
first place. Like you can't just start and do a Python project from scratch if you've never learned any Python. So we tend to see with a lot of DataCamp users that they start off doing courses, and then it's once they've built some skills and they're getting to a point where they think, okay, maybe I need to start looking for a job now. That's the point where they start doing more projects. So it tends to shift more to the applications later on.
Yep.
All right. Next thing, Yusuf asks, what's the minimum number of projects in order to be considered a serious candidate from your experience? Like, how much stuff do you need to put in your portfolio?
Yeah, again, there's not a magic number, but I would suggest keep the reader's experience in mind. Again, a recruiter will do, if you put 15 projects, it will probably be very hard for a recruiter to identify, is this actually what I really want to do, the candidate that I want to apply for? So the candidate that I want in my team. So whenever you apply for a job, just make sure that you target maybe 3 to 5 projects max, I would say. You target that to the specific company that you're applying for. Instead of just putting everything that you can, just make sure you really target that. That would be my advice.
Absolutely. So yeah, the recruiter's not going to bother looking at like certainly not more than 5, but probably 3 is going to be plenty just to show that you have a range. So start with 3, maybe go to 5, maybe have a couple more if you're going for a more advanced job. Like by the time you've got plenty, like by the time you go for a senior role, you're expected to have done plenty of things. But for an entry level position, 3 to 5 is probably plenty.
Yeah.
Okay. Christopher asks, how do I retrieve code for the DataCamp projects? They seem to have disappeared as you've revised and updated courses. I think ask support. Not sure on that. So in general, I think at least with the new workspace projects, you should always keep your history. The older version of DataCamp projects, I think when they updated, you got a choice. If you clicked update it, it would remove your code and refresh the project. So older courses, you probably can't retrieve it. Sorry, older projects, you can't retrieve it with the new workspace-based projects. You should never lose stuff. There is a version history built into every workspace.
Yeah.
But ask support if you're really stuck. They might be able to help you. Okay, Amanda asks, can I input projects from Kaggle, rival platform, or other platforms into a DataCamp portfolio?
That's a cheeky question, Amanda. No, absolutely. Of course you can. And we have done that. We didn't want to create any barriers or any fictional barriers in the portfolio. We are aware that everyone can use any platform that they want, and we should be able to bring that into DataCamp. And you can definitely just copy the link of that notebook you have in Kaggle and bring it over into your DataCamp portfolio.
All right, wonderful. Now I skipped a question before. I'm just going to go back to one from Nicole. So this isn't about portfolios, it's actually about certifications. So we talked about how there are sort of 2 different ways to stand out. One of them is portfolios, the other one's having some kind of certification. And DataCamp provides a range. So Nicole asks, can you complete more than 1 certification? For instance, data analyst and data scientist. I think the answer is yes. I don't know whether you can.
The answer is yes. Yeah. And we have plenty of portfolios that have 2, 3, 4 certifications laid on them, DataCamp certifications. So, yeah.
Actually, I believe a common thing is to try one of our associate level certifications first. So that gives you that's like an entry level certification, and then go for a professional certification after that. So yes, you can complete more than 1 certification. And actually, on that note, for anyone who's interested in that, tomorrow we've got a webinar on data cleaning. This is run by Amy from our certification team. She found one of the most common sticking points if you are taking DataCamp certifications, people don't clean their data sets properly, and then they fail the certification. So register using the QR code at the top left, And then please do come back tomorrow if you want to find out about how to clean your data properly so you can pass the DataCamp certification. Excellent. With that, I think we are at time. So thank you once again, Luigi. That was
Thank you.
incredibly informative. Thank you to Reese for moderating. Thank you to everyone who asked a question. Lots of questions today. I'm very impressed. Good luck creating your portfolios and good luck with your job hunts for anyone who's job seeking. I hope to see you all again in future webinars. So see you around.